folks, welcome back to Kentucky History Treasures. Doug High with you, along with Trevor Jones in the lab, and looking at two gorgeous new acquisitions for the collection here. And Trevor, I know there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that these items belong to who they said they belong to, and to trace the history. So give me a little backstory on these rifles.
Well, both of these have really good stories, which is always what we're looking for, is how do we tell good stories about Kentucky history. And sometimes separating myth from truth is really difficult, and always, in the case of Daniel Boone, it is nearly impossible.
Oh, that's a big name.
Because Boone was one of the few people that was actually from the 19th century who was an international superstar during his lifetime. So everybody wanted to claim that Daniel Boone had used this, or this was his tool, his rifle. What we discovered doing research is that it did belong to the Boone family, but it is too late for Daniel Boone to actually have used it. And it was owned by Isaiah Boone, a Boone relative, and he used this in Kentucky in the 1840s and 1850s. And what's really interesting about this piece is that he later moved out of the state, but his family kept using this gun for many, many years afterwards. They modified it from a flintlock to percussion. They shortened the barrel because it had been used so much. It's got replacement pieces all over it. And so it shows it's a clearly loved piece. And it's a Boone piece, and it probably has the best Boone story of any rifle that we have in our collection. We know that it was actually used by the Boone family, but it's not Daniel Boone's rifle.
Gotcha.
It's a Daniel Boone owned this at one time, but not the Daniel Boone.
Named after
the
his famous relative.
Yeah, right.
I see. How about a little bit of backstory on this rifle in front of us?
Well,
here?
I'm going to hand this one to you. So, this one is a famous from a famous Kentucky feud, the Hatfield and McCoy.
Oh, wow.
And this is another one where guns are often associated with individual people. We think the story on this one is really good. There was a guy who was in Pike County, and he was 22 years old, and he was teaching at the school there. And he was out in the schoolyard, and a man came running up to him, and he didn't know him. And he said, "Sir, if I gave you this rifle, would you give me $5? And if I give you, I come back and pay you $5 again, you give me the rifle back." He's trying to pawn the rifle.
Oh.
And he said, "I need to buy a train ticket. I need to get out of town." And so the young man looked at the rifle, said, "Yeah, I think that's worth $5. So he pulled in his pocket, gave him $5. Never saw the guy again. But other people told him that that was one of the Hatfields, and we think that might have been Cap Hatfield, who was Devil Anse Hatfield's son, who was actually one of the principal feuders who was actually shooting McCoys at the time. This was about 1890, so the feud was active.
Fantastic. Great stories, and thanks for the advanced look, Trevor. We appreciate it.
Great. It's my pleasure.
We'll see you next time on Kentucky History Treasures.